This is Wild Nevadacast from the studios in PBS Reno, Nevada. I'm Dave Santina, and I'm here today with Beth Roselli and Mark Cameron from the Tahoe Pyramid Trail. Thank you both for coming in. I really appreciate you coming in today.
You bet.
Thank you.
So you both have different duties with the trail, and I know, Beth, you've been around it for a long time. What's your current responsibility there?
Currently, I'm the marketing chair.
Okay.
But previously, I was the board chair for the past 2 years, and now we have Chris Askin, who is in that position. So a little change for me.
Chris Askin, an old friend of PBS Reno. We remember him from his community foundation days.
Yeah.
And so, Mark, you are now?
I'm the president CEO of the organization.
You're the boss.
Yes.
Okay.
And all the frills that come with that.
I could see a gold-plated vehicle pulling up today that said TPT. So thank you both for coming in. I think that I love the notion of the Tahoe Pyramid Trail. Your website, when I was checking it out earlier, referenced it as an audacious idea, which I think is a great way to introduce it. So if you would, for those who haven't heard of the trail before or haven't been, just describe for us what the idea behind this is.
Well, I'll start.
Okay.
Janet Phillips was a visionary, and in 2003, about the time she retired from Timwa, she decided that she was a biker, and she obviously had a lot to do with the Truckee River in her job. And so she decided that she thought that we should be able to ride a bike from Tahoe City all along the river into Pyramid Lake.
That is an audacious idea.
That very much so, and that young woman thought that she would be able to do it in 5 years? I think it was
5 years. Yeah. Here we are, 22 years later.
22 years later.
Hey, dreams die hard.
Dreams, yes, but her dream will come true. So that's the point.
This is different. Yeah, this is a dream coming true, and it's taken, like you say, 22 years to build. And it's not complete yet, right?
No. Well,
so
it runs continuously currently from Tahoe City all the way to East Sparks, roughly 60 miles.
Okay.
And then we've got a gap past Lockwood to the Mustang exit, which we have a trailhead there. We share the Mustang to USA Parkway section with the Nature Conservancy. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful section of the trail for hiking and biking. Runs really right along the river. It's beautiful.
Sounds gorgeous.
Then we've got another gap from USA Parkway all the way out to Wadsworth, which is kind of the south end of the reservation, Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe Reservation.
Right.
And from Wadsworth all the way to Pyramid Lake, that section is finished as well. So we've just got a couple of gaps we're working on.
Okay, so almost complete. I think I saw 81% listed on your website. That you're only 19% away from the absolute completion of this, which is it is audacious, but it's I think it's fantastic. I've always loved the idea of it, and the notion of getting on a bike, or if you're really ambitious, running from Tahoe City and ending up at Pyramid. And it sounds so amazing to me to be able to do that. And I have to confess, on Wild Nevada, we did some of the trail. We did an episode, one of our best of the season episodes, where we would introduce our 3 or 4 of our favorite segments from the previous 12 episodes of that season. And we always have some kind of activity that we're doing as we introduce the stories. And so we started, in this case, let's do the Tahoe Pyramid Trail. At the time, Tahoe Pyramid Bikeway, right? It was called the Bikeway for a while, for years. Until recently. So we go out and we get bicycles and we go to Tahoe City to the head of the trail and we introduce, hey, this is our show. This is our best of the season. We're going to be going along the Tahoe Pyramid Bikeway at the time. And we're going to show you some of our favorite activities during the last season. So we ride our bikes out of the frame, stop, get out, put them in a truck and drive to River Ranch. And then get out, walk the bikes down the trail, ride back up to the camera, talk to the camera, introduce the segment, get back in the truck, go to Truckee. We did all this in a day. But the idea was to indicate that we had ridden the whole thing. But I cannot, in good conscience, sit here and say that I did it because I didn't do it. But it was TV, so for television, you make concessions, right? So if in that case, in order to get the story told the way we wanted, which we had to start at Tahoe City, stop at River Ranch, stop in Truckee, do a segment crossing a bridge, and then go to near Verdi. There was a signage there and a interchange. And then West Reno over by Mayberry. And so those were all the stops we made that one day, but I really haven't ridden it. So I don't even know what it's actually like to ride all of that.
Well,
We can tell you.
yeah, well, Mary Beth and I, to commemorate her 2 years, finishing her 2 years as the board chair, I suggested that we ride the trail. So we did that this last fall from Tahoe City all the way to East Sparks, that 60-mile section.
65, I believe.
Well,
Sorry.
I think our Garmins had a little disagreement about how long it was, but and it took us a little longer than I expected. But
yeah.
we did stop, here and there, had a beer on the
Excellent.
way.
Enjoyed the day.
Nothing
Yeah,
wrong
it was
with
a very
that. It's
beautiful day.
energizing yourself for the rest of the day.
But it was a gorgeous day.
It was.
It was very memorable, I think, for both of us. And it was just, being able to see every section and doing it continuously. I think it was kind of a different experience.
I bet. Yeah.
And we stopped and took notes about things that needed to be repaired, do some maintenance and things, and took some notes on that.
So how is it physically to ride that much in that part of that whole bit of the trail that day? Is it something you would say that anyone could do, or somebody needs to be pretty fit? I mean, this is what I find fascinating.
I would say probably a seasoned cyclist, like somebody that can ride 60 miles. It's not the same as riding 60 miles on pavement, right? There's some ups and downs, and Mary Beth and I are both pretty avid cyclists. So
These are mountain bikes or all-terrain bikes?
We did mountain bikes, and I think that gravel bikes are popular. But for me, I think the mountain bike was the right choice, even on the road. So I
once you get used to a little suspension, it's really hard to go back for me.
makes it a much softer ride.
I cannot argue with that, because I've had a little experience with a bike with suspension from doing Wild Nevada episodes and borrowing them from cyclists who have high quality bikes, because I've never had a good bike. And man, what a difference. It kind of ruined me, because now I hate I hate every bike that doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
So that makes a huge difference. So it doesn't have to be cycling, though, right? You can take the trail.
Absolutely.
So how many different ways can you use the trail?
Well, a lot of people, hiking, obviously.
Sure.
But we also have runners who do it. And we've had a gentleman from, what was it, a Rotary?
It was a Rotary Club here
Yeah.
locally last summer, I think it was. He wanted to do a fundraiser for a Rotary project, and he actually ran and biked from Pyramid up to Tahoe.
Wow.
Tahoe, yeah. So there was the sections that aren't complete. He just did either got a ride or ran or rode along the interstate, because that's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
Scary as that sounds.
It does sound
But,
scary.
yeah, he did it in a day.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he raised everything he was looking to raise,
I think he
because
did.
that's
He
impressive.
did, and it was impressive.
Yeah.
So
Well done.
and-
So that was running and biking.
Yeah.
And then is it possible to ride a horse or anything like that?
No.
Nope.
Okay, so this is all human powered
Right.
transportation.
And we have a lot of fishermen and birders that follow the trail as well.
Okay, yeah, because I imagine there are plenty of spots along the trail where you can stop and fish, because you're basically
absolutely.
paralleling the Truckee River, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Almost all the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And almost every time I go out, I'll see fishermen out there.
Yeah. Well, and in wildlife too. I've seen a bobcat. I've seen rabbits, deer, a bear, even
Bear.
one time.
Really?
Down near Truckee. Yeah.
That would be a little bit scary.
It was a little ways off, right? And my wife wanted to get closer, and I was like, "No, honey, we don't want to get in.
You
This is close
don't.
enough."
No. What is she doing? Made you rethink your vows right there. Why is happening?
It was that selfie moment she couldn't resist.
Right. So he's too far away.
Oh, wow. All right. So right now you can go from Tahoe to East Sparks, and then we have a stop. So what sections are left to finish?
Well, like I mentioned, from East Sparks through Lockwood to Mustang.
How long is that?
It's about 5 to 6 miles.
Okay.
It's a pretty short section. Then from USA Parkway to Wadsworth is probably another 20 miles or so. There's going to be a lot of complicating factors, but what we're doing right now is we're working with NDOT to put together a feasibility study. They're actually going to be managing a grant on our behalf that we'll be hiring a consultant to do a feasibility study, which will help to identify the best route. It'll help to identify the landowners and have public meetings and all those kinds of things that you need to do to kind of get this thing finished up. There is a lot of private property along those sections, which has complicated things a little bit.
I'm sure.
And I just think once people see kind of the benefit that they themselves can have as the property owner to utilize this trail and have it running, so close to their homes, I think it'll be advantageous to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak from exactly the experience that they have as the property owners. I can speak to just my experience. I happen to live in a house that is right next to an access road that leads to a trailhead. People might assume that because of the Wild Nevada show. It's complete coincidence. I am not that outdoorsy, but I do love having it right there. And so what happens is people almost every day come up and park in this access road area, and they get out and they either pull a bike out of their car, or they get a dog on a leash, or they just head out with gear and a backpack, and they are either going to start or coming back from an activity that they love. And so the energy is just really positive all the time, having that next to me, and I love it. So I mean, if you need someone to speak on behalf of the house next door to the trail, I'm that guy. I really appreciate that I can see that. I enjoy it. So I mean, I hope that you are able to argue your points enough to convince people.
The people using the trail, they're good, happy people. I mean, they're outdoorsy. They love to.
They're not out there, get off my lawn.
Yeah, right. These are the people that they love nature and they want to get out there. And one of the things I do want to mention that I didn't mention about that section that we're kind of working on finishing with NDOT, the idea is not just to get the trail down, but actually put down a paved trail.
Right.
We're looking at an alternative transportation corridor so that folks that work out at TRIC, the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, could actually commute via e-bike from both Reno Sparks and from Fernley, because our trail kind of makes a northern, turn at Wadsworth, but we're looking at doing a spur as well as part of that feasibility study into Fernley, so that people can have a different way than having to sit through the traffic that is often backed up on 80 when there's an accident in and out of TRIC.
Absolutely,
so it's going to be seeing this finish and come to fruition is going to be just a wonderful thing.
I love that
for the whole community.
Yeah, I see a lot in the mornings. If I will come in from the east, and I'll check sometimes Google Maps to see how's the traffic, because it does the little color codes, right? So if you don't want to see red,
Nope.
You want to see green, but I see a lot of red.
Yep,
they're going to or coming from that area, and it doesn't take much to clog it up. So boy, that is a real appealing thought to be able to get yourself to work and back in a pleasant way, and do it in your own timeline. I think that's very appealing. I would love to. I would think a lot of people would love that.
Yeah, we actually have several engineers that work out at Panasonic that do it now. They have my ride to work. They'll ride it one way or the other and take their bike with them, and then either ride it in or ride it home from work.
Got it.
But they just don't have the path yet. They're kind of freewheeling it out there.
Wow.
In areas,
how do they do that? Like with mountain bikes?
Yes.
So they're just bushwhacking it.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Those guys are tough.
They are, but they've been great because they've also helped us maintain that section of trail, because if they're riding it every day and some brush have come through, they'll usually tell us or take care of it themselves. So they've been a great access. And wouldn't it be perfect if you had an e-bike riding, you'd have a spot to park, ride and park, from Sparks all the way into TRIC. I mean, those red lights might drop into more green lights, and that's the idea.
Let's have green lines on my phone. Although, of course, I'm not looking at the phone while I'm driving. I'm sorry.
Of course not.
I didn't mean to indicate that to anyone. So you've both been associated with the trail for a while. You must have your own favorite ways to use it. How do you? I'll start with Mary Beth. How do you like to use the trail yourself?
I love the canyon. I have to say, every part of that canyon to me. The canyon would be the part from Truckee into Verdi.
Okay.
Going through the canyon is, to me, the most inspiring sections. But I can take also USA Parkway to Mustang. I have to say, last year we did a lot of maintenance on that section of the trail, and I think I fell in love with it just because we spent so many hours and blood, sweat, and tears on that trail that I started to really enjoy it and go out there and sit, because anywhere I can hear that river is a kind of a favorite spot, I have to say.
One of the cool things about riding through the river canyon, as we call it, is that there are sections where you're pretty close to the freeway and you can hear the road, but there's a lot of places where you dip away from it or have some kind of mountainside or hillside blocking the sound, and you can hear the river just great.
Yeah.
It's beautiful through there.
That's a very appealing idea.
Yeah.
But in the winter, I have to say I'm thrilled that the Legacy Trail in Truckee is paved so that people who are not necessarily snowshoers or skiers or whatever can really experience a beautiful part of the river also. So the Legacy Trail is gorgeous. And then just the convenience of going through Reno and the downtown area, because that's a lot of tourist area. So
Yeah.
I have to say,
Does the Legacy Trail through Truckee, does some of that or much of that encompass this trail, the Tahoe Pyramid Trail?
We share it. We share the common trail.
The whole section of Legacy? Oh, that's good. A couple of years ago, we did a show in Truckee, and it was winter, so it was snowy, and I went snowshoeing up to what was underneath our feet, the Legacy Trail, but we couldn't see it because we were in the snow. So we talked a little bit about it, and a couple of moments after we started walking and talking, we hit an empty patch and I could see it. And it was really clearly, really well-maintained trail and high quality. And I thought, I got to come back here in the summer and walk this for real, because this is well done. It's appealing and attractive to be on it.
it is. It's gorgeous. But usually they do plow it in the winter.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. In the Truckee section in Nevada County, they plow that Legacy Trail sections.
Well,
so
You just must have been right after the snow.
It probably was. This was a silly attempt for us to go off the snowshoe trail and go through the trees, and then we ended up going around and coming back up on the other side because we got stuck. Our guide was having a good time trying to bushwhack us. It didn't work out, but if you watch the show, you'd never know, because we just kind of reappear on the other side of it, and then there we are.
The magic of television.
There we are. We finished the hike. What do you know? But I can say from my tiny experience, I totally endorse that trail. That's really beautiful. So yeah, that would be a lot of fun to do.
And also that section the trail that gets you to 88, is it? Or what's the road that we're on? 87 that you're crossing? That's also a nice trailed section that you were on when you said you were doing the cuts into.
Yeah, right. Well, we rode bikes along the river, across the river, and in a beautiful, beautiful area.
By the river.
Really enjoyed that. So yeah, I would love to get back and actually ride it from start to finish, because I have to, just for my own personal pride, right? I feel like I've been misleading people all this time. It's time to go do it for real. So people who've never been on it, or people like me who've been on parts of it, but not complete, what do you suggest for people who've never been or who have very little experience? Is there an area you recommend as a starting point or a first section to visit?
It depends a little bit on what kind of experience they're looking for, right?
Okay.
Because it runs through Reno and Sparks as well. It's commonly called the River Trail. A lot of folks are walking that every day, or running on it, and they don't realize that it's also the Tahoe Pyramid Trail.
That's true. Yeah.
So that can be done any time of the year, very simply, right? Even without a bike, you just walk up and down the river. But as far as
that's hard to say.
Mustang USA Parkway, Mary Beth mentioned that section. I live out in Sparks, and that's very close to me. I can be there in 5 minutes in my vehicle, and unload my bike at the trailhead and take off. It's 20 miles out and back on a bike, and it's very flat. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit rocky in places, but nothing that you couldn't just walk through if you weren't comfortable with it. But it's a very beautiful spot. Runs right along the river for the most part, and that's where I see a lot of wildlife. I mentioned the bobcat I saw there. I saw the deer there, and wild horses. They're almost always out there in the area. So that's a very beautiful section. It's not really that far out of town, but it kind of makes you feel like you're out in the middle of Nevada somewhere.
That's one of the nice things about this area. It doesn't take long in any direction before you can feel alone and get away from humanity for a while if you want. So that I like that a lot.
But then Pyramid Lake, I have to say, every time I go out there, and I go out there, we have a Ride the Res event every October, where on Sunday we invite anybody who wants to join us to ride their bikes. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, again, people are not familiar with that, and it's too bad, because it's just, again, a beautiful section.
Yeah.
I would say September, October is probably the prime to go out there. It's too hot in the summer, but again, I think people don't appreciate the beauty out there.
That section really gets you away from the roadway. You're not near the freeway or anything on that ride. That's a very peaceful ride.
Yeah, I could see that. I can imagine arriving at the viewpoint of the lake when you get there and just being in awe of it.
And their visitor center too. If you're out there, you have to go see that.
It's a great museum.
Yeah, great museum there.
Wonderful
too.
museum. Yeah.
The trail goes right by it.
And that sometimes is really for me. The draw is the destination is not just the trail, but where I'm going. Right. So having that destination for some people, if you're like me and you need a motivation to go somewhere, this is a great way to do it. Is to go to the museum up in Nixon, and have that be your destination, then come back afterward. That would be a good.
It's a great trip
to take for sure.
And the tribe has actually they've gotten a grant to go from Sutcliffe along an old railroad bed all the way to Popcorn Rock. And we're actually going to do a little bit of realigning on our trail so that we can meet up with their trail to go to Popcorn Rock. So that'll be the new end point. Right now it's kind of often a marshy area that can be underwater or not, depending on the time of year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're always looking at doing other things and improving the trail as well. Just finishing it.
Nice. What kind of access do people have along the trail? I mean, I'm sure there are certain trailheads and connectors. Do they all have adequate parking? Are there areas where people need to be aware that they may not have a place, but other places where they absolutely would have parking?
We have trailheads along the way, Floreston, Fairhead, Hirschdale. They're all pretty rustic, I would have to say. I mean, there's nothing, we don't have a cemented
but
parking area.
The dirt pullover on the freeway, on the highway, stuff like that.
Short exit and entrance ramps on Fairhead and Floreston, I would have to say.
Yeah. So, if you go to our website, you can find the different segments broken up and find those areas. Now, sometimes like the California DOT doesn't want us to advertise an area as a parking spot, but you know where they are. As if you're a fisherman or you're a hiker, you're in the area, you can see where the vehicles are pulled over, and they just don't want to advertise it that way, right?
Fair enough.
We do have a fair number of actual trailhead parking areas all up and down the trail.
Okay.
And another scenic part that we haven't talked about is Flesh Bridge either.
Oh, the Flesh
Bridge. So I have to say, if you're into a pretty decent hike, I would say starting off at Quillisi Ranch trailhead and hiking, about 3.5 miles each way, you'd hit Flesh Bridge. And that, again, is a beautiful area. And we also have a memorial for Janet there and Mike, her husband. So, again, it's just one of those awe moments when you get to see it. And it's just gorgeous. But the hiking is, hiking and biking is probably one of the more, it is probably the most strenuous part, I would say.
There's a beautiful section too at Floreston. There's a place to park there, and it's a wooden trail that's kind of built into the side of the hill. That was a boardwalk. I think they nicknamed it the $1 Million Mile at the time it was built because it was a really tough section to build.
Pretty sure I remember reading that in some updates. So you're reminding me as you mentioned all these sections. People don't have to guess where these places are. There's a map. There's a lot of information available on your website, and that's TahoePyramidTrail.org.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. TahoePyramidTrail.org. Type it all out. Lots of maps there, and you section maps as well as the overall map, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's some mapping too that gives you the distances between different starting points and finish endpoints.
That's great because you can make an educated plan with the maps, and then decide how far you want to go, and if you want to do an out and back, or have somebody pick you up, however you want to do it. So it's a lot of trail, which requires a lot of maintenance. How do you do that? How do you keep it in good shape?
Well, we have. I'm going to do a shout out to Bill Von Poole because he's been on that trail, and Sam Limerick, who've been part of the trail since probably almost its inception. And we do hire out contractors. We have had a lot of volunteers out there to clean, but our idea is to keep that trail maintained in a more professional way so that we're not out there having to do rework areas because we have erosion issues. So we do contract out some of that work in California and Nevada to work on some of the areas that we just, don't really have the skill set, tools and such.
Yeah, but we also do have a fair number of volunteers.
Absolutely.
Trail section adopters.
Yes.
In fact, I think we've got
Great
three
program.
different sections that are available for adoption that people have, done it for so many years. They're like, you know what, I think we've done our duty, and
Right.
we're going to hand off this to the next person. But as far as the sections of the trail that we maintain, it's really that river canyon section.
Okay.
Because a lot of the trail, as we've talked about today, runs through different municipalities and different Washoe County, Reno, Sparks, Nevada County, Truckee. All those sections are maintained generally by their parks and recreation departments and things that maintain those. But that section where we have the easements through the river canyon from Old Tumwa, Truckee Meadows Water Authority.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, those sections we maintain with a crew of volunteers. But when the job gets too big, we have boulders falling down off hillsides and things like that. We have to hire contractors to come in and do the major work. Our volunteers come out. They do raking. They do spreading of soils. They weed. They cut back brush, pick up garbage. Which there's not actually a lot of garbage.
No.
If you ride the trail, it's very clean, which I take great pride in, but and I'm happy for all those people that don't throw their trash out.
Right.
It gets windy around here, and sometimes it's not people. Sometimes it's just the wind dispersing trash
Off the highway.
Right?
I can attest to that. I live in a place that collects all the neighborhood trash somehow, and it all collects by the fence. So yeah, sometimes it's not about you; it just happens.
Yeah.
So people can volunteer. How does somebody get involved if they want to volunteer?
Well, we have a button on our website.
Yep.
You say, "I would like to volunteer." You click that, give us your information, and we'll reach out to you.
Simple as that.
Yep. Because we're starting more and more to kind of work collectively to do trail days and work on not just our trail but other trails in the region, where we have special days where 20, 30 people come out. If one of the trails in the local area has a big job to do, we'll get people out there. We did one of those last fall that Mustang USA Parkway section.
Beautiful.
Along the Nature Conservancy section.
Yep.
And so volunteers are very important. Maintenance is very important. How do you have to raise money constantly to support all of this? How do you guys fund all the work that needs to be done?
Yeah, well, a lot of that is project driven, right? When we've got new sections or things that we need to maintain, we do a fair bit of fundraising every year, and we've got a great number of longtime supporters. But we're always looking for people that want to help to support the operations of the organization. We don't know from year to year. It depends on the kind of winter we have, what kind of maintenance we're going to have to be doing. Yeah. And then as we finish up that feasibility study and we start looking to lay down some new trails and things, that's when things will really ramp up. We'll probably be looking for big grants and things from the state and the feds, and then we'll also be looking for matching funds from the community to help to get that done.
Yeah, that would be fantastic to see that happen. Do you have a desired timeline for that at this point?
Well,
like what you would like and what's real, I realize.
Go back to Janet. 5 years.
5 years.
No, I
know.
The problem is sometimes the wheels of progress move very slowly.
I understand. Understood.
Yeah, so we would like it always done sooner than later.
Sure.
But we're dealt the timeline we're dealt.
Right.
So,
yeah. You just keep working at it, and it happens when it happens.
You just keep one step at a time, and we'll get it done.
For sure.
Yeah.
Understood. So, is there anything coming up that people should be aware of?
Yeah, we have our annual meeting. That's going to be at McKinley Arts Center, April 10th, I think, from 5 to 7.
That's public?
That's
we send out an invitation. It's not open to the public. It's kind of by invitation.
Got
but
it.
we RSVP because there's only 150 seats at that location.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But we do reach out to primarily our volunteers and the folks that have donated their time and efforts to us.
And just kind of update then. So that's coming up. And but as I said, we do have events where Ride the Res in October that's open up for bicyclists. We also have the Cookie Ride in May that we've been putting on for I don't know how many years, 17, 18 years.
Who doesn't like cookies?
I don't know. I like the sound of the Cookie Ride. What happened?
This was kind of when Janet got her first money. It was to build a small section from Mogul to Verdi, because for biking, if you wanted to ride into Verdi, you had to get on Highway 80.
Right.
And so she rode Highway 80 with one of those cameras on her helmet, and to try to raise some money, and that was a winner for her, and that was the first money that she received.
She survived it, and that was step one.
And that was step one. So
Wow.
our cookie ride is basically a celebration of that. We do it at the Crystal Peak Park in Verdi.
Nice.
And we have a lot of people who bake cookies and ride their bikes or hike there. And
That sounds great. Tell me again when that is.
that's May, I want to say 18th. It's always on a Sunday, and I'm sorry, but they go to our website. And we'll have,
Check the website for updates as it comes. I think that's
if
great.
you're going out for a hike or ride that day, it's a nice out and back, and you get cookies.
yeah, so
I mean, I'm sold. That was all I needed to hear. I'm
There you go.
all ready to go.
there you go.
I should start writing now. It might take me till May to get out there. All right. Well, we got to go. Thank you both for the time and the info and the updates. Would have the fantasy of one day riding from Tahoe to Pyramid unabated and without anything stopping me except my own lactic acid buildup. So I'm in your corner. I'm rooting for it. So let's see how we can do it. Can't wait. Thank you both, Mary Beth Roselli and Mark Cameron. All right, before we go, I want to remind everybody to watch Wild Nevada on PBS Reno. That's via broadcast or streaming at pbsreno.org and on many other streaming sources. Also, you can watch segments on the PBS Reno YouTube channel. And if you have a question about Wild Nevada or Wild Nevadacast, or maybe you have a comment, a suggestion, you want to suggest a guest, please do it by going to podcasts at pbsreno.org. And my thanks to Mary Beth Roselli and Mark Cameron, and I thank you for listening to Wild Nevadacast.